Dong Padian, who was expected to firmly hold the first place, was fiercely ground into the ground by the suddenly emerging Lu Sheng. Just now, Lu Sheng felt a mysterious force from the depths of the sea. While he was puzzled, a sea beast directly swallowed him whole. At the same time, Dong Padian, who was at a depth of 3,000 meters under the sea, had gone mad. It has been almost 3 days, and he has gradually become accustomed to the strength of the exotic beasts in the sea. Even an 8th level sea exotic beast can be easily shattered by him. Looking at the current score panel, all the marshals were shocked. In just 3 days, how many exotic beasts has Dong Padian actually killed? His merit value has already reached millions. His score is 10 times wider than the other general's stars. Marshal Fatty remarked, Dong Padian now probably truly possesses the combat power of a grand general, not inferior to me, and even surpasses me. What's more crucial is that Dong Padian dives deeper than others, faces greater pressure, encounters stronger exotic beasts, but kills even faster. The most important point is that he is very young. It is said that he is not even 50 years old. In comparison, even though they are top general stars, the gap between others and Dong Padian is like the difference between a kitchen knife and a combat knife. At this moment, Marshal Fatty curiously asked, where is the general star from the east now? Why can't he be seen? And 3 days have passed, yet his merit value hasn't changed at all. Didn't Lu Sheng arrive? Where did he actually go? Or did he intentionally avoid battle and willingly give up the performance? Even the Eastern Marshal was baffled, not knowing what Lu Sheng was up to. As his body gradually adapted, Dong Potion's speed in killing exotic beasts became faster and faster. In just a moment, another large group of exotic beasts were slain by him. The time for the performance is almost up. In these 3 days, how many exotic beasts has he actually killed? He himself has never counted them carefully, but 1,000,000 merit points are definitely there. Unfortunately, it's no longer possible to go deeper into the sea. At a depth of 3,000 meters, the communication wristwatch and camera completely lost control. With his current score already enough to secure first place, he decided not to take any more risks. From now on, I will be promoted to Grand General as the #1 general star of the military department. However, before he could revel in his pride, a tumult erupted below him, making his whole body tense. What on earth could cause such a huge disturbance? Such a strong sensation of vital energy and blood. Could it possibly be a human? The next second, he dismissed this thought. It absolutely can't be a human. Such a heart-throbbing feeling, apart from a martial saint. Who else could transcend me by several levels in terms of martial body and vital energy and blood? Moreover, who would hide in this dark, sunless abyss? He speculated that it might be some terrifying exotic beast from the depths of the sea. With his current strength, it's better not to explore for now, and to just bring up the spoils of war first. As the competition drew to a close, the general star contestants began to surface. Look, the general stars are starting to come out. From their expressions, it must be that they are very satisfied with their performance. The next moment, the woman was stunned, looking at the spoils Dong Padian brought back, and then at those of the others. She exclaimed, oh my, this isn't even on the same level. Subsequently, after the military's calculation, Dong Potion's merit points from this mission reached as high as 750,000, placing him first, while the other 3 only had 300,000, 160,000, and 200,000. Hearing this result, the 3 couldn't believe their eyes. They hadn't expected the gap between themselves and Dong Padian to be so vast. The 3 of them combined didn't even come close to a fraction of his score. They couldn't help but feel that their presence was merely to highlight Dong Potion's strength. At the same time, some inspectors were also puzzled. The competition is almost over. Why is Lu Sheng's merit score still 0? Could he have already left? But no one saw him leave the abyss. Hearing this, the bald marshal sneered and laughed mockingly. No way, no way. Lu Sheng couldn't even beat a single exotic beast. Could he? Could it be that he has already died deep in the abyss? The Eastern Marshal, upon hearing this, had a gloomy expression and said nothing. He thought to himself, this kid, I was hoping he would bring some honor to the East, but now he has just embarrassed us. Lu Sheng, where exactly are you? Meanwhile, at the deepest part of the sea, 10,000 meters down, a blue flood dragon was desperately fleeing. In that pitch-dark sea where you can't see your hand in front of you, Lu Sheng's fist flashed with golden light, striking the flood dragon with a punch as dazzling as the sun. The flood dragon ahead fell to the ground, unable to rise. At this depth of 10,000 meters, Lu Sheng's body underwent immense compression strengthening, similar to a gravity chamber, and with the use of water breathing, each move and style was enhanced by the pressure of the 10,000-meter deep sea. What would happen if he moved his immortal cells to other parts of his body? Golden light emerged from his palm, within which an immortal aura was discernible. The next moment, Lu Sheng struck upwards with a fierce blow. Dozens of flood dragon exotic beasts around him instantly screamed in agony. Die! This move, immortal grasp of the heavens, instantly took away the vitality of the exotic beasts. Even the highly defensive flood dragons couldn't withstand this overwhelming power and were completely penetrated. Then, Lu Sheng slowly lifted his size 48 foot and said, next, it's the foot. As he stomped down hard with one foot, the immortal aura spread from the sole of his foot. Instantly, a super strong energy burst out from him as the center, which completely isolated dominated the surrounding seawater in a moment. At the same time, the calm sea surface suddenly began to surge. This anomaly made Dong Padian very uneasy, but before he could ponder further, the sea surface suddenly reversed and surged. Dong Padian was terrified as he could feel this force, which was the same one that had come from the seabed earlier. A vortex black hole the size of a soccer field appeared on the calm sea surface, and Lusheng slowly emerged at the very top of the vortex. He himself did not expect that this kick would directly reach the sea surface from 10,000 meters below. Standing in the distance, Dong Potion's face was filled with disbelief, and he was sweating profusely. Very nice, Lusheng said softly. Now, he has used immortal cells as nodes and the indestructible star body as a fulcrum, infusing energy throughout his body. A casual punch can unleash the power of 100 stars. Even a single kick can break through the 10,000-meter abyss. Those flood dragons that were killed, their bodies twisted like pretzels, were kicked by Lusheng from the sea surface back to the seabed. Lusheng's future has changed once again. He has transformed from a critically wounded fugitive to an injured escapee. A single word makes a world of difference. Unfortunately, this is also not the future I wanted. Lusheng emerged from the sea surface with a flood dragon he captured from 10,000 meters below. This momentum directly rubbed Dong Padian 100 times over. Looking at Lusheng coming with a flood dragon, Dong Padian was stunned, staring at Lusheng as if looking at a string of sausage. Lusheng immediately responded dominantly. You are Dong Padian, right? Just his aura alone shocked Dong Padian immensely. He couldn't comprehend what kind of being his opponent was. So strong. This is a sense of ultimate power. Having said that, Dong Potion's fighting spirit blossomed, and a green aura rose around him. As one of the top figures on the General Star list, he has dominated his peers for years. He doesn't believe anyone in General Star could be stronger than him. Then, he lifted his size 48 foot, stepping over the sea surface and flew directly towards Lusheng, shouting loudly, "You, get down." However, Lusheng just slowly lifted his left hand, and just at the moment of collision, a cold ice formed, blocking Dong Potion's full force strike. Lusheng said indifferently, "After all, he is my uncle. I can't go all out." As soon as the words fell, he raised his right hand and gently waved. "I can only send you a cool breeze." Immediately, Lusheng slapped Dong Padian, sending him flying. This slap was purely external and did not use internal energy. Thus, Lusheng was not worried about injuring Dong Padian. Under the impact of this external energy, Dong Padian was slapped flying 1,000 meters until he hit a distant hillside and shook for 2 seconds before stopping. The unconscious Dong Padian collapsed there, embedded in the wall, unable to be pried out. Seeing this scene, all the soldiers below were stunned. The being they looked up to like a god in their military area had just been knocked unconscious by a slap from Lusheng. Even Lusheng himself was a bit dumbfounded. Clearly, I controlled the strength already. This uncle is too weak. However, he helplessly thought, well, I've already hit him. Might as well be more polite next time we meet. Really annoying. Meanwhile, inside the main conference room, everyone was also completely baffled. Dong Padian was just knocked down like tossing out trash. That's Dong Padian from Central, the top figure there. Why is the gap so huge? From what they observed just now, the power Lusheng displayed has likely reached a height that requires their admiration. Even, he's fully qualified to become the youngest marshal. However, at this moment, Lusheng suddenly looked up at the sky with a serious expression and said softly, "Finally, they've come." Following that, flames wrapped around Lusheng's entire body, and an air of authority naturally emerged. He spoke out, "Today, I wish to shatter the shrine, to undertake the task of challenging the heavens. I need to cultivate an invincible and keen spirit. Later, I'd like to ask everyone present to cheer for me." At this time, on the big screens everywhere showing Lusheng's image, hearing his sudden speech, everyone was stunned. What's going on? Lusheng suddenly saying this. Why don't I understand? And in the conference room, the Eastern Marshal was sweating profusely, exclaiming, "Shatter the shrine? Challenge the heavens? What exactly do you want to do?" After speaking, Lusheng swung a punch towards the sky. A righteous energy like the sun exploded in the sky. Lusheng coldly said, "You've all come. Why hide? I felt your presence long ago." Just after Lusheng's punch, everyone felt a profound martial aura from within the clouds. The Eastern Marshal's expression became grave, and he leapt out. He had to clarify this matter. However, the next second he was dumbfounded, because behind the clouds stood the extreme ways for symbols and the 28 mansions. The Eastern Marshal demanded loudly, "Today is our military department's full army exercise. What is the intention of your extreme way Marshal Hall's visit?" The old man, with a face full of murderous intent, responded word by word, "We are here by the command of the extreme way Marshal Saint to take the head of the military department's demon star, Lusheng." Hearing that they had come to kill Lusheng, the Eastern Marshal immediately erupted in anger, a powerful aura bursting forth. Immediately after, various marshals also made a grand entrance, declaring, "Damn your ancestors, killing a few scumbags from your extreme way Marshal Hall, and you still won't relent? You really think our military department has no one?" Old Xian let out a cold laugh, shouting loudly, "If it were just 2 scumbags dying, it would be fine. But this demon star, he killed the Marshal Saint's wife and exterminated the Marshal Saint's progeny. That is a heinous crime." Hearing the word progeny, all the marshals were stunned. The Eastern Marshal instantly realized that Lu Sheng had caused a catastrophe this time. However, no matter what, they must protect Lu Sheng. But Lu Sheng, still with his hands in his pockets, stood there unflinchingly and said lightly, "No wonder this extreme way martial saint is so enraged. It turns out that Lian Su was carrying his bloodline in her womb. If Lu Sheng had known she was pregnant, would he still have killed her? Without a doubt, he would. After all, Lu Sheng is not a saint. He takes his revenge." Then, the Eastern Marshal questioned Old Xian, "Do you have any evidence that it was Lu Sheng who killed her? Our military department will discuss this matter with the martial saint himself. Until the matter is clarified, no one can touch a hair on Lu Sheng's head." As soon as he finished speaking, the Eastern Marshal felt something was amiss. The next moment, the people from the Extreme Way Martial Hall knelt down, shouting, "Greetings to the Great Lord's arrival." As the shouts ended, thunder roared in the sky, a massive oppressive force descended, and a pair of crimson eyes suddenly appeared in the sky. A divine-like pressure surged towards Lu Sheng. Immediately after, the Extreme Way Martial Saint slowly lifted his foot. A powerful martial will burst forth like a torrent. He shouted loudly, "Kneel." As soon as the words fell, everyone was instantly forced to kneel by this will, shouting in unison, "Greetings, Martial Saint." Before the martial year, it was an era of technological prosperity, where firearms dominated everything. Masters of ancient martial arts could at most smash large rocks and run up walls, but even the most skilled could not withstand a small bullet. At that time, humanity revered the power of science. Technology helped humans accomplish numerous incredible feats, reaching the heavens and delving into the earth. Nothing was impossible. However, when cracks began appearing in the sky and the earth, and terrifying exotic beasts descended upon humanity, the technology that humans took pride in could not stop them, not even the weakest exotic beast. It was during that time that the limits of the human body were thoroughly broken. The trajectory of civilization shifted. Fists entered the halls of power. The fist became the authority. Martial artists with the strength of a single person could defend a city, even a nation. They took the place originally belonging to gods. From then on, people's reverence and faith had a real, concrete target. Among them, the strongest broke all limits, defied the heavens, and brought myths into reality, becoming the gods of the new era, martial saints. When the martial saint arrived, the marshals all knelt on one knee to greet him, but in their hearts, they were filled with anger and unease. Damn it, why has the Extreme Way Martial Saint come? This is precisely why the military department is determined at all costs to nurture a level 9 martial saint. Without a true top-tier powerhouse in charge, once someone flips the table in anger, be it 3,000 grandmasters or great generals and marshals, they will all become a joke. Extreme Way Martial Saint slowly began to speak. "I am here personally. What did you say you wanted to discuss with me?" His tone was cold, his face proud. "My word is evidence. Right now, if I want you dead, you must die. Do you have any objections?" He stood above Lu Sheng, with an attitude of looking down on heaven and earth. At this moment, Lu Sheng remained silent, but anger was quietly rising on his face. Just now, under the martial pressure of Extreme Way Martial Saint, not a single soldier in the military area was left standing. All were pressured to kneel. With Extreme Way Martial Saint providing support from above, the people of Extreme Way were extremely arrogant. At this time, Extreme Way's #1 lackey, holding his cane, slowly raised it, preparing to attack. Since the Lord has personally made an appearance and made the military department bow, we naturally need to properly display the majesty of Extreme Way. Right then, Azure Dragon, looking down at Lu Sheng, taunted, "It seems we overestimated this kid. He's actually trembling. Maybe he's even peed himself." Lu Rushuang, a woman, also chimed in, "With the Lord here, even the entire military department has to salute, and all 5 marshals must bow their heads. It's normal for him to be so scared that he's trembling and wetting his pants." As old Deng angrily slammed his cane down, he said coldly, "You will pay for your recklessness. Feel this trembling before death." The next moment, Lu Sheng's fist clenched tightly. Seeing this, Azure Dragon gestured with his finger, a greenish aura swirling around him. This kid actually wants to resist. Interesting. After speaking, a blue light emerged, and he drew a long sword from the void. Old Deng advised Azure Dragon, "Make it quick. Don't tarnish the dignity of Extreme Way. Even if this kid recovers, killing him shouldn't take more than 3 breaths." With a burst of blue light exploding over the water, in the blink of an eye, Azure Dragon had transformed into a bolt of lightning and appeared above Lu Sheng's head. However, just then, the long silent Lu Sheng slowly began to speak. That wasn't a tremble of fear. As soon as his words ended, Azure Dragon's body was chopped in two. That was the trembling of excitement that I couldn't stop. With a single hand chop, Lu Sheng actually split Azure Dragon, one of the 4 symbols of Extreme Way, in half. Watching Azure Dragon instantly split into 2, the old man was stunned and shouted, "Azure Dragon." As he spoke, he emitted an even stronger aura. Seeing what happened to Azure Dragon, he no longer underestimated Lu Sheng. "Lu Sheng, you little bastard, how dare you?" But before he could finish his sentence, a streak of golden light flashed past behind the old man. In less than 2 seconds, Lu Sheng was standing behind him, hands in his pockets. Just as everyone realized Lu Sheng appeared behind him, suddenly, the old man's head unexpectedly left home. At the same time, the people of Extreme Way's 4 symbols also turned into mosaics in that instant. instant, breaking apart. The old man's eyes widened in terror. Trembling, he said, Have I been slain? Too horrifying, Lu Sheng. Subsequently, dozens of heads fell to the sea, while Lu Sheng's palms were already soaked with blood. If waiting for Extreme Wei Martial Saint to take action personally, there might be no chance to kill later. So quick, it must be quick, unreservedly quick, instantly killing them. In just 2 seconds, Lu Sheng demonstrated the state of a martial god. Divine illumination of the Underworld King scripture, path of killing, full release of breath of wind, as well as all 22 immortal cells within his body. At this moment, the marshals were stunned. The overwhelming murderous intent that surged in an instant. Is this Lu Sheng's true strength? In the blink of an eye, he had slain all the masters of the Extreme Wei Martial Hall. Like an iron law, what he decrees happens, sharply delineating life from death. As the heads of the people from Extreme Wei fell into the water, the thick vital energy in blood dyed a part of the sea pitch black. This was the blood of the Extreme Wei's 4 symbols and the 28 mansions. Now, only Azure Dragon, with half his body left, remained alive. He desperately shouted, Lord Martial Saint, save me. At this moment, he could no longer care about his disheveled appearance. The marshals, seeing this, could hardly believe it. What kind of battle was this? This was simply a massacre. Not only that, great grandmasters are supposed to have life forces far beyond ordinary people. Even if beheaded, they should not die outright. But look at the murderous intent flowing from those wounds. It's that dense and pure murderous intent that is completely destroying their vitality. Watching the screaming Azure Dragon, a golden light emerged around Extreme Wei Martial Saint. Then his anger erupted. You rascal! How dare you, Lu Sheng! As soon as he spoke, he transformed into a golden light and flew towards Azure Dragon. However, just as he firmly grasped Azure Dragon's shoulder, and before Azure Dragon could even feel relieved for half a second, Lu Sheng appeared again, employing his signature move, Pat Head Kill. In an instant, Azure Dragon's eyes bled, his life force rapidly drained by Lu Sheng. Extreme Wei Martial Saint watched all this, completely numb. Lu Sheng dared to kill the person in his hands right in front of him. He had underestimated his opponent. Lu Sheng then leaned in and said, Zhao Ji, your dogs have all been killed by me. This statement echoed like thunder over the sea. Once again, this refreshed the understanding of the military department's soldiers and marshals. The central marshal was shocked. A madman? He's really a madman. In the second before Azure Dragon's death, he felt immense despair. He couldn't understand why he would die. Why would he die in front of Lord Extreme Wei Martial Saint? Why couldn't even the seemingly invincible Lord Extreme Wei Martial Saint save him? As Azure Dragon's head fell at Lu Sheng's feet, Azure Dragon was completely dead. The next moment, Extreme Wei Martial Saint was uncontrollably furious. A deathly murderous intent suddenly erupted. The golden light around him brightened significantly more than before. Several arrays appeared behind him, and from these arrays, several golden hands were summoned. I haven't been provoked to this extent in almost 100 years. Boy, you've done well. Saying this, Extreme Wei Martial Saint spread his hands, and his figure slowly rose. A towering Buddha figure appeared behind him. Compared to him, Lu Sheng seemed very small. However, Lu Sheng just grinned. Being big is useless. It also needs to be robust. After saying that, he gestured an international friendly sign towards Zhao Ji, responding, 100 years? You really are a good-tempered old turtle. This directly infuriated the Extreme Wei Martial Saint standing beside him. After a round of show-off effects ended, the sea surface returned to calm. Then, Extreme Wei Martial Saint extended his left hand and roared, Emerald Sea and Blue Sky. The surrounding seawater, mixed with the power of heaven and earth, swirled around Extreme Wei Martial Saint, as if becoming his weapon. Upon seeing this, Lu Sheng's expression changed slightly, filled with astonishment. In a moment, a blue tornado spun wildly in front of him. Within a few breaths, Extreme Wei Martial Saint softly shouted, Collect. The surrounding energy instantly converged into his hand like arrows whistling through the air. Extreme Wei Martial Saint said with a cold laugh, This move's power is enough. No one below level 9 can withstand it. Seeing the approaching energy, Lu Sheng also felt a flicker of nervousness and unease. The marshals behind him, even more terrified, turned pale and shouted, Lu Sheng, run. As level 8 powerhouses, they were well aware that this power came from between heaven and earth, and that it was not something humans could contend with. Run. Don't confront Extreme Wei Martial Saint. Extreme Wei Martial Saint snorted coldly, Fool, you're thinking too much. You have nowhere to escape. After saying this, a tremendous energy burst out from his hands, instantly transforming into a dominating golden dragon, charging directly at Lu Sheng. Lu Sheng's eyes narrowed, shocked. I didn't expect Extreme Wei Martial Saint to be able to gather all the cosmic energy floating between heaven and earth into his palm. His palm force must have reached an unimaginably terrifying level now. If evaluated on a level 8 scale, how many stars would this move be worth? 200 stars? Or 300 stars? Lu Sheng even doubted whether his own strength could withstand it. Is this the true strength of a martial saint? This move, I probably can't block it. As soon as he finished speaking, Lu Sheng instantly activated his unparalleled mode. Martial Saint State, Whale Avatar, Killing Avatar, Earth Avatar. Finally, he launched the strongest attack, Martial Saint Technique. My will is like a knife. Soon, the two forces collided fiercely in the air. The dazzling energy clash shook heaven and earth as if they were violently trembling. However, just 2 seconds later, Lu Xing felt that his power was completely inadequate. The next moment, the exploding energy crazily eroded Lu Xing's body. As a plume of thick smoke dispersed, Lu Xing collapsed, barely alive, his right half completely destroyed. The nearby marshals panicked, scratching their heads and shouting his name, but at this moment, they felt utterly powerless. The general stars on the battleship were scared out of their wits. To defeat the Eastern General Star with a casual strike, Lu Xing was killed just like that by Extreme Way Martial Saint. Is this what they mean by beneath a saint, all are mere ants? The barely alive Lu Xing fell straight towards the sea surface. With a bang, he sank into the vast ocean. At this moment, a pair of size 49 feet slowly walked forward. It seemed that everything was over. The marshals felt as if their hearts had turned to ash, utterly cold inside. Now, we're really finished. The military department's hope of hundreds of years, just gone like that. Especially the Eastern Marshal, his face filled with reluctance, gritting his teeth and growling. No, we cannot let Lu Xing die just like this. Even if it's just his corpse, I must find it and bring it back. On the other hand, Extreme Way Martial Saint, with one hand in his pocket, indifferently turned and walked away. This strike contained the might of heaven and earth. Unless he has a body comparable to that of a martial saint, he would be utterly obliterated. Thus, the matter concluded, and he was ready to leave. However, just then, a loud boom came from behind. The sea churned, and waves surged, directly approaching Extreme Way Martial Saint. Extreme Way Martial Saint was slightly startled, not expecting that under such circumstances, this kid could still survive. He sneered, but to dare show such trivial tricks in front of me? After speaking, he lightly waved his hand, brushing aside the seawater barrier in front of him. Behind the seawater barrier, Lu Xing stood firm in his original spot. Seeing this, the marshals were overjoyed, not expecting that under the assault of the power of heaven and earth, Lu Xing could still be alive. Several streaks of light crossed the sky. Several marshals quickly positioned themselves in front of Lu Xing, saying solemnly, "Run. We've already agreed. We'll sacrifice ourselves if necessary to hold off Extreme Way Martial Saint. Even if it's just for a few moments, we'll buy you time to escape. Because you are the hope of the military department, you absolutely cannot die." Just then, a pair of hands gently rested on the Eastern Marshal's shoulder. Lu Xing spoke softly, "Thanks, marshals, but there's no need." As soon as he finished speaking, a blue aura enveloped Lu Xing, and his injuries quickly healed under this power. With the aid of immortal cells, it wasn't long before his severed right arm grew back. The marshals rejoiced, exclaiming, "It's wonderful. Lu Xing actually has such recovery abilities." Even Extreme Way Martial Saint found it amusing. He smiled slightly, extending his hand towards Lu Xing with an invitation. "I haven't seen such an interesting person in a long time. Since you've killed all 4 symbols and can still take a strike from me, it proves your talent is indeed extraordinary. Join my sect, and I guarantee you'll ascend to Martial Saint within 100 years. How about it?" Hearing this, the marshals were shocked speechless again. They never expected Martial Saint to actually be recruiting Lu Xing. The Eastern Marshal quickly urged, "Lu Xing, what are you waiting for? Martial Saint has offered you a golden pardon. Bowing your head for now doesn't mean defeat. After all, staying alive is what's most important." However, Lu Xing laughed out loud the next moment. "With that level of strength, you want to recruit me? Was that the extent of your level 9 powers just now? Saintly tactics? Ha! Is that all?" The marshals behind him were already shocked into mean-worthy expressions, completely not expecting Lu Xing to decisively refuse and even throw in some taunts. While speaking, Lu Xing mimicked the earlier gesture of Extreme Way Martial Saint and raised his hand. "Let me show you what real power is." The next moment, under the shocked gaze of Extreme Way Martial Saint, emerald sea and blue sky actually began to swirl around Lu Xing, its power in no way inferior to the previous move by Martial Saint. Lu Xing spoke indifferently, "I admit, I couldn't withstand your heaven and earth power. Sadly, your power is too weak, not nearly enough to kill me. However, this move is quite good. I'll take it." Extreme Way Martial Saint was completely dumbfounded, looking at Lu Xing with disbelief. He's clearly only level 8. Why can he harness heaven and earth's power? Level 8 should only be able to borrow, not seize, especially not copying my signature move. Seeing this, Lu Xing just grinned and responded casually, "What's so surprising about that? I like to call it, great power brings miracles." Lu Xing, mimicking Extreme Way Martial Saint's earlier technique and manipulating heaven and earth's power, quickly formed a convincingly similar blue tornado over the sea. At this moment, Lu Xing, wrapped in lightning, boldly spoke, "Next, you'd better grit your teeth." Extreme Way Martial Saint stared intently ahead. The next moment, the aura around Lu Xing suddenly surged. He first concentrated 10 immortal cells in his legs, then executed the extreme cloud step. With a swoosh, the sea surface exploded, and Lu Xing's figure vanished from the spot. Seeing this, Extreme Way Martial Saint was greatly shocked, cursing internally, "What kind of speed is this?" Just as he was caught off guard, Lu Xing, with fists as big as sandbags, arrived next to him, and just as Extreme Way Martial Saint reacted, Lu Xing's fist was already in front of his nose. Lu Xing threw a fierce punch, roaring, "Old man, break!" Instantly, a golden column of light burst into the sky accompanied by the power of heaven and earth. The power within the array erupted in sequence, causing fatal damage to Extreme Wei Martial Saint. Then, seizing the opportunity, Lu Xing landed another punch that sent Extreme Wei Martial Saint flying onto the array. Under this strike, Extreme Wei Martial Saint's body actually showed cracks of breakage. He clutched his chest, his expression extremely angry, and bellowed, "Damned kid, look what you've done." As he spoke, a burst of purple, icy energy exploded from Extreme Wei Martial Saint's body. "To have damaged my divine human body like this, you deserve to die. I will have you cut into 1,000 pieces." In contrast, the military department's marshals were visibly excited, exclaiming, "Good grief, Lu Xing truly is the greatest hope of our military department." Just then, it suddenly began to rain from the sky, and the sea surface also started surging violently. Immediately after, a huge blue condensate slowly emerged from the seabed. "Alright, the shrine has been shattered. Next comes the true form," Lu Xing said coldly. "Zhao Ji, I'm about to start the saint slaying." As soon as he finished speaking, the marshals were visibly shocked, shouting in disbelief, "Wait, what did he say? Did he say he's going to slay a saint?" And the soldiers on the battleship completely lost it, with various discussions erupting. "Everyone, look, Lu Xing actually said he's going to slay a saint. Can you believe he dared to say that?" General Lu knew all along that Extreme Wei Martial Saint would come, and he was ready to fight him, and he actually did it. An unprecedented feat. In the 300 years since the rise of martial arts, all sorts of dire battles have occurred, but level 8 against level 9? That has never happened before. It's a gap that pierces through heaven and earth, an insurmountable divide. But now, it seems this chasm is really about to be crossed. The Eastern Marshal asked, "Shouldn't we do something? We can't let Lu Xing face this alone." He cursed, "Damn his ancestors. We can fire the cannons. Even if it doesn't do much, we need to show our spirit to cheer on Lu Xing." Hearing this, the soldiers' blood boiled. The marshals also ordered, "Quick, bring out the military department's special cannons. Fire the cannons." As soon as he finished speaking, countless shells flew towards Extreme Wei Martial Saint. The Eastern Marshal roared, "Hit them hard. To hell with the Martial Saint. The shrine is shattered." At this moment, the energy avatar of Extreme Wei Martial Saint gradually shrank back to human form and stood in front. The cracks on his face also disappeared, leaving him unscathed. He watched quietly as a barrage of missiles approached, completely unmoved, as if he hadn't seen them at all. However, just as the shells were about half a meter away from him, he slowly raised his left hand, and a surge of golden power emerged, blocking all the missiles in front. Under the force of this power, the missiles turned around, and then exploded back towards their launch site. At this time, Extreme Wei Martial Saint coldly sneered at Lu Xing. "See, remember, they all died because of you. Because of your ignorant resistance, they lost their lives. They are warriors, soldiers with unbroken spines. They fear nothing, even an unbeatable opponent. And you, a person who doesn't dare to show his true self even when seeking revenge, will never understand. You are nothing but a turtle hiding in its shell." After speaking, a red aura appeared on Lu Xing's body, and he raised his fist, striking again towards Extreme Wei Martial Saint. Soon, countless exploding fists bombarded Martial Saint like a torrential downpour. Even Extreme Wei Martial Saint seemed a bit overwhelmed at this moment. "Damned kid, don't get too cocky." Extreme Wei Martial Saint roared, and then responded with the same style of punching. The sound of fists colliding filled the entire sea area, deafening. The next moment, Lu Xing pulled back his fist and swiftly dodged the attack. After all, going head-to-head with a Martial Saint for a long time is not a wise move. However, when Extreme Wei Martial Saint saw his punches easily dodged, he was shocked because he realized that Lu Xing had just used murderous intent perception and the Four Realms movement technique. In his moment of distraction, Lu Xing threw another punch, landing a solid, explosive punch right on Extreme Wei Martial Saint's mouth, twisting it askew. Extreme Wei Martial Saint covered his face and roared, "You've got some skill. It seems, without using my true power, I can't quite kill you, kid." As soon as he finished speaking, Extreme Wei Martial Saint clasped his hands together, and a blazing flame began to rise. "All those on earth who believe in me, all of their divine power, now converge here." Then, Extreme Wei Martial Saint's palms transformed into sharp claws, and he instantly turned into a giant golden saintly statue. At this moment, Lu Xing, standing before him, seemed like a tiny ant. From the center of the statue, Extreme Wei Martial Saint sneered, "Let's see how you can escape now." The 5 marshals were completely numbed by the terrifying power of heaven and earth above. One of them said tremblingly, So huge. Is this the perfect fusion of a martial arts avatar with the flesh? So, this kind of divine technique that reflects myths into reality is truly the root of a level 9 Martial Saint's power." Another marshal roared angrily, "Damn it. Even the top-level great grandmasters at level 8 fight with their bare hands. No matter how fierce the energy, it can't extend hundreds of meters. But he's drawn out all the divine power that people have offered him. Such immense divine power. Just its consumption could kill Lu Xing. This is utterly shameless." This was Martial Saint's last resort, but the marshals knew they had to find a way to save Lu Xing. "You fool. Die. Tremble for your ignorance. A bug is just a bug." Extreme Wei Martial Saint roared, then his full divine power, wrapped in a sinister black aura, charged directly towards Lu Xing. However, Lu Xing remained as steady as an old dog, completely unflustered, and casually said, "So, you're into fancy clumsy tricks now, even transforming like a Gundam. Previously, Lu Xing would have been concerned about the future, constantly strategizing and solving, but he now realized that was simply foolish. The next moment, Lu Xing's eyes narrowed slightly and his pupils sparkled with lightning, turning into a blue glow. War God Mode. As Lu Xing entered War God Mode, his entire body, from his feet to his head, radiated powerful energy, a perfect fusion, stunningly beautiful. In that case, let me show you what it means to cheat. At this moment, Extreme Wei Martial Saint's attack was already nearing Lu Xing. He roared, "Disappear." However, Lu Xing merely raised his hand lightly and met the attack with the simplest of moves, a slicing hand strike. Instantly, a full-color light blade flew from Lu Xing's hand, slashing towards Extreme Wei Martial Saint's statue. Decisive slash. As the two energies collided, the violent shockwave spread out. Extreme Wei Martial Saint's statue gradually cracked, its light dimming. Eventually, the statue was completely destroyed, and Extreme Wei Martial Saint exhaled a breath of foul air, flying out from the shattered light mass, his face full of anger. "My war god avatar." He gritted his teeth and growled, fury mounting on his brow, but at the same time, he was filled with doubt about Lu Xing's strength. "What exactly is your strength?" Lu Xing scoffed, lazily responding, "What strength? It's hard to explain to a countryside martial saint like you. Too weak." Then, Lu Xing punched Extreme Wei Martial Saint, turning him into a muggle. As Extreme Wei Martial Saint fell, Lu Xing grabbed him up. At this moment, Extreme Wei Martial Saint was like a dead dog, held aloft by Lu Xing. Xiao Ji trembled and murmured, Did I actually lose?" Lu Xing coldly gripped his collar and mocked, "What? Surprised? Can't accept that a level 8 beat a level 9? As soon as he finished speaking, Lu Xing slapped Extreme Wei Martial Saint across the face, the crisp sound echoing all around. "You're the god among men, right? The embodiment of light, right? Full of style, right? Say something. Where's that arrogance from just now?" This scene left the marshals standing behind speechless, unable to believe their eyes for a long time. Is this Lu Xing thrashing Martial Saint? Not only did he overcome a level 9 in adversity, he's treating Martial Saint like a punching bag? Moments later, the Eastern Marshal, overjoyed, said, "From now on, our military also has its own god. Remember this day. The military will face an unprecedented bright future." After Lu Xing had slapped him 1,000 times, Extreme Wei Martial Saint finally trembled and grabbed Lu Xing's hand. Enough. Have you had your fill?" Extreme Wei Martial Saint sinisterly chuckled, covering his face, and 2 seconds later, his face, previously swollen, instantly returned to normal, even more handsome than before. This slightly surprised Lu Xing, who coldly said, "You managed to recover your swollen face in an instant." The next moment, Extreme Wei Martial Saint laughed loudly. "What does it matter how skilled or strong you are? You have no idea how powerful a level 9 Martial Saint is. Between level 8 and level 9, there is an insurmountable chasm. I am connected to heaven and earth, and the world still offers worship. My power is nearly limitless." With that, strange lightning began to coil around Extreme Wei Martial Saint once again. He coldly said, "My martial body has been nurtured by heaven and earth for over 100 years, reaching heights you can't even imagine. And you, with only the power of a level 8, how could you possibly kill me?" Lu Xing disdainfully responded, "Calling you a countryside martial saint isn't unjust. Would I not know the strength of a level 9 martial artist? I've even seen level 11 powerhouses. With your strength, you're not even worthy of being called level 9. With the next move, I'll finish you off completely. Let's see if you can still laugh then." Extreme Wei Martial Saint was left speechless. Just as he was about to retort, he felt the threat of death from Lu Xing's fist. Lu Xing softly uttered 2 words, "Shatter, void." As soon as he spoke, Lu Xing's figure, like a ghost, sped to Extreme Wei Martial Saint's front, his speed so fast that Extreme Wei Martial Saint couldn't even track his movements. Soon, Lu Xing created several clones, surrounding Extreme Wei Martial Saint. Then, all the clones launched simultaneous attacks, raining down mercilessly. Extreme Wei Martial Saint was beaten terribly, his body riddled with holes, blood staining the sea below, turning it a bright red. At this point, Extreme Wei Martial Saint's body was a wreck. Not a single piece of intact flesh remained, only his trembling mouth still muttering something as he knelt on the sea. 2 seconds later, his body miraculously returned to its original state. 2 seconds later, his body miraculously returned to its original state. He said coldly, "What you can destroy is merely my flesh. My martial soul is indestructible. How can you possibly kill me?" Lu Xing was shocked upon hearing this, not expecting that Extreme Wei Martial Saint's body, despite such damage, could recover instantly. Seeing that Lu Xing was unable to harm him, Extreme Wei Martial Saint laughed heartily. "Ha ha ha, if you're capable, then increase your strength. I am the god among men. I am immortal." Lu Xing's gaze sharpened, not expecting that this fellow, over his long years as a martial saint, had realized a divine skill akin to regenerating flesh. He had to admit, the realm of a level 9 martial saint, upon touching the mysteries of the universe, was indeed very intriguing. After speaking, Lu Xing was once again enveloped in a golden glow, and he softly said, "If that's the case, then I'll just have to increase my strength a bit more." Upon hearing this, Extreme Wei Martial Saint looked utterly bewildered. "What the hell? You can still increase your strength? Are you joking?" The next moment, Lu Xing's glowing fingers gently touched his forehead. He decided decided to concentrate all his immortal cells in his right arm, preparing to execute his strongest move, Immortal Strike. As the energy on his fist surged, Lu Xing shouted, "Die, insect! I am the real god." This time, Extreme Way Martial Saint finally panicked. He could clearly feel, facing this terrifying power, a sense of unprecedented fear rising within him. Even with his regenerative ability, he would die. Thus, this punch he absolutely could not take. Extreme Way Martial Saint, in his panic, spat out a purple card from his mouth. Then, he lifted the card high into the sky. The card instantly burst into a dazzling golden glow. "Lu Xing, if that's how it is, then let's die together." At this point, Extreme Way Martial Saint had completely given up on everything. He intended to drag Lu Xing down with him. Seeing this, Lu Xing sensed danger. This unprecedented sense of crisis made him wary. This thing looks threatening, but at this point, Zhao Ji must die. Not even the Jade Emperor can save you now. I said so. With that, Lu Xing threw a punch, his powerful force charging forward. With a boom, Zhao Ji's head was severed on the spot. However, just as Zhao Ji's body was falling, his head instantly grew a new body and desperately fled backward. Lu Xing was shocked again and gritted his teeth. "Still running even now? You really are a tough bug. It seems I must kill you today." He slowly raised his right hand, ready to finish off Zhao Ji once and for all. But just then, an overwhelming pressure suddenly descended, as if crushing through the void, making it hard for Lu Xing to breathe. As several deep booms sounded, the space in front of Lu Xing began to crack open. A huge tear in the void appeared, a physical suction force attempting to drag Lu Xing into it. Just as Lu Xing approached the edge of the void, a sharp hand reached out from the hole, and then, a magical circle appeared on the index finger of that hand, hovering over Lu Xing's head. The next moment, the supernatural destructive power surging from the magical circle exploded upon Lu Xing. When the smoke cleared, a gaping hole appeared in Lu Xing's chest, blood gushing out like a fountain. He spat out 2 tons of blood, his body swaying on the verge of collapse. He felt a force corroding his body, causing him to gradually disintegrate on the brink of extinction. Even with immortal cells, Lu Xing's injuries were still difficult to heal. He needed to replenish energy immediately to survive, but at this moment, he was unable to move. "Am I really going to die? Well, at least I gave Zhao Ji a good beating," he muttered, filled with doubt. Why does a power beyond level 9 exist in this world? He had indeed been careless. The next moment, with a thud, Lu Xing fell back to the sea floor, and the crack in the sky gradually disappeared. In the blink of an eye, the marshals had not even reacted yet. Their thoughts still lingered on the thrill of Lu Xing beating up Extreme Way Martial Saint. The sudden appearance of that power was beyond their perception. Just then, the Eastern Marshal was the first to react, shouting, "All generals stars, all generals, everyone, into the water, search for Lu Xing's whereabouts, immediately, right now." The marshals looked at each other. One of them quietly asked, "That power just now, do you think Lu Xing is still alive?" The others remained silent, but the Eastern Marshal decisively said, "In the 300 years since the rise of martial arts on this planet, the youngest and most monstrous prodigy who could fight against martial saints as a level 8, a person who shone upon the world like the blazing sun, would he suddenly fall? Do you believe that?" He looked around firmly and added, "I certainly don't. A person like Lu Xing, even if he dies, he won't die here." After speaking, the Eastern Marshal immediately arranged for intelligence officers, "Broadcast everything that happened today, exactly as it occurred. At least let the entire Dragon Nation know. Extreme Way Martial Saint was defeated above Ning Sea, defeated by our military's future god, Lu Xing. Extreme Way Martial Saint Zhao Ji is now a thing of the past. Though Lu Xing is gravely injured and his life and death are unclear, the lineage of Extreme Way is completely finished." The next day, news about Lu Xing was reported by the military. The peerless prodigy of the military, Lu Xing, in his early years, slew Extreme Way Martial Saint and his 32 disciples in Ninghai, severely wounded Extreme Way Martial Saint Zhao Ji, forcing him to flee on the brink of death. This news shocked many acquaintances who had interacted with Lu Xing. In just a few days, Lu Xing's growth had reached heights unimaginable to them. But at the same time, the news of Lu Xing's uncertain fate also reached his family, who were heartbroken and wept bitterly. On the other hand, Qin Shaojun led the military in a comprehensive search, heading to notify Dong Qingxue. Qin Shaojun remarked, "Extreme Way Martial Saint survived the legendary battle of the Dragon and Lion. Even that great battle did not leave him near death. Yet this time, leading a vast army to ambush Lu Xing, he was instead massacred by Lu Xing alone, which is truly terrifying." However, the current search results from the military are, Lu Xing's life and death are unclear, suspected to have sunk to the seabed. Despite this, Dong Qingxue firmly stated, "I don't believe Lu Xing is dead. He must still be alive." Qin Shaojun also quietly responded, "Let's hope so." Now, the entire military has mobilized to search the sea for Lu Xing, almost draining the sea to its bottom. Although hope is slim, the military can only comfort Lu Xing's family with these actions for now. Dong Qingxue mentioned that she had just visited Lu Xing's family. Aunt fainted several times from grief, but uncle and Lu Xing's sister firmly believe he will return. Qin Shaojun knew that Dong Qingxue was feeling very upset, so he comforted her by saying, "Maybe the fact that we haven't found a body means the situation is still uncertain. Maybe he has some magical gadget like Doraemon's, secretly hiding hiding somewhere to recover. When we see him next time, he will surely be stronger. In reality, Qin Xiaojun himself knew that these words were absurd, but to prevent Dong Qingxue from despairing, he could only pin his hopes on a slim miracle. Meanwhile, atop a snow-capped mountain surrounded by clouds, a palace stood amidst the sea of clouds. At this moment, continuous wails of agony echoed through the corridors of the palace. The source of these sounds was Zhao Ji, who had returned injured. He muttered curses under his breath while staggering along. Damn Lu Sheng, he completely destroyed the martial saint true body that I had nurtured for 100 years. Luckily, I had prepared a bottle of fusion divine liquid last time. Otherwise, even if the martial soul escaped, it wouldn't be able to fuse with this clone body. Zhao Ji clenched his teeth in anger, his face full of resentment. Damn, to return to my peak condition now would take decades, or even longer. As he spoke, he spewed nonsense while walking towards a cabinet. He took out a bottle of medicine from it and chugged it down. Damn Lu Sheng, what kind of monster is he? Is he even human? I, a dignified level 9 martial saint, was forced to this extent. If I didn't have the ace of level 10 prowess, I really couldn't have killed him. Zhao Ji ranted as he furiously guzzled bottle after bottle of the medicine from the cabinet, yet he still angrily shouted, "Damn, not enough, still not enough." He needed more of the medicine. The cabinet's supply of medicine was greatly depleted by Zhao Ji, but it only slowly restored some of his damaged meridians. What baffled him was how could such a genius like Lu Sheng appear on a tier 1 resource planet with such terrifying strength at level 8? If he reaches level 9, couldn't he just leave this planet? Luckily, the kid is already dead. Zhao Ji can't remember the last time he felt this powerless. He understands that he can't stay here any longer. Sooner or later, someone will come looking for him. It looks like I need to find some protection. Right now, all he can think of are Tan Zhongyu and Lin Jingyue. Zhao Ji looks at a golden box on the cabinet, filled with blue crystals. With these energy crystals, they'll have to give me some face. With that, he hurriedly prepares to leave. After all, the temple still holds so many martial saint relics. Not only will people from Dragon Nation come to snatch them, but foreign powers might also come to plunder. If he can't take it with him, he might as well leave. Soon, Zhao Ji quickly packs up and frantically descends the mountain, with no lingering affection for beyond the sky peak. On the other side, by the coast of country are Tan Zhongyu's 2 disciples are strolling by the sea. The female disciple curiously asks the male, "How was the trip to the Northern Lion continent? I heard the scenery there is quite nice. I've always wanted to go." At the same time, she couldn't help but ask, "You've been traveling all over these years. Brother, what exactly did Martial Saint ask you to find?" The man's expression is calm, and he slowly utters 2 words, "Energy crystal." The female disciple is greatly shocked. This is something she, an 8th level martial artist, has never heard of. The man continued to explain, "Energy crystal is a type of crystal that contains the highest amount of energy known on Earth. It can also be called a source of energy. This substance is extremely rare and precious. Known production sites are only a few scattered places, owned by all the major powers. Since energy crystals are so valuable, they must be of great help to martial arts." The man nodded and said, "They are definitely helpful, but only useful to characters at the level of martial saints." He continued, "For a level 9, energy crystals are not only a precious resource for cultivation, but also a form of currency. Over the years, I've traveled across most of the Earth trying to find a new energy crystal site for the master." The female disciple joked, "Hey, you're revealing so many secrets all at once. Is that really okay? Don't tell me you'll have to silence me later." The man said helplessly, "You've watched too many movies. But the World Grandmaster Tournament is starting in a year, and with your talent, you'll definitely be participating. Someone will tell you about the energy crystals then." The female disciple asked doubtfully, "But why is the Grandmaster Tournament related to energy crystals?" The man sighed and explained, "Originally, the World Grandmaster Tournament was established by nations to compete for energy crystals distribution in a dignified manner. All the energy crystals produced globally are pooled together, and grandmasters from each country compete. The distribution of shares is based on the final standings of the competition. Although there is competition among martial saints from different countries, there is also competition among martial saints from the same country, and the purpose of our Bright Jade Hall is to assist the master in enhancing his strength, just like the Extreme Way 4 symbols and the 28 mansions under Extreme Way Martial Saint. Unfortunately, our master is the youngest among the 3 martial saints in Dragon Nation, with the shortest time as a saint and the least heritage. Compared to Extreme Way Martial Academy and Transcendence Martial Academy, our overall strength indeed falls short. Every time energy crystals are distributed, our master always receives the least. Extreme Way Martial Saint gets the most, followed by Transcendence Martial Saint. So, it's completely understandable that our master wants to find a new source of energy crystals. It's better to create wealth than to save pennies. But such things are not easy to find. Just then, the man's communicator suddenly rang. The female disciple glanced at the sudden influx of numerous emails, contemplative. The man fell into thought, then suddenly shouted in shock, startling the woman. "This time at the World Grandmaster Tournament, we finally won't have the smallest chair." The woman asked in confusion, "Why?" The man explained excitedly, "Because the Extreme Way 4 symbols in the 28 mansions were all wiped out by one one person's effort. Extreme Way Martial Saint has completely lost face. The Extreme Way lineage is finished. Hearing this, the woman was utterly shocked. Who did it? That's terrifying. A single person. Has Dragon Nation got a fourth martial saint? The man shook his head, his expression laden with meaning. That person, you know him. He's the one who offended Extreme Way Martial Academy, whom our master sent you to assist. But he ended up killing the star of Extreme Way with his own strength. The woman screamed in shock. Lu Shen? The man nodded, said nothing more, and immediately prepared to return to report to Tan Zhongyu, leaving the woman standing alone in a daze. This time, Lu Shen truly overturned all my expectations. Meanwhile, beneath the tumultuous sea surface, in a quiet part of the ocean floor, a figure lies motionless. That is Lu Shen. His chest is pierced with a large hole, yet he lies on the ocean floor, completely still. Even so, no creature dares to approach, as if his body still emits a deterrent force that cannot be ignored.